Hi, I'm JJ. Welcome back. I know a lot of you are probably feeling like me where it's hard to make content sometimes or want to read with everything going on in the world. So luckily for me, I had already pre-recorded a bunch of videos, so this will be my first video filming after Israel and the United States bombed Iran, and then all the chaos ensued after that. So I haven't really been in the mood to do anything, but then I was talking to my friend Saracen, and he said the best thing that we can do for each other, for him especially, was to keep making videos because the distraction helps him specifically. So I wanted to start making these videos, and once again I'm going to just do a bunch at once, so if I don't feel in the mood to do some later, I'll already have some. But the reason why I wanted to do this one was this past week I had gone to a musical, a play called & Juliet, and I had been looking forward to it. I just, you know, I knew I would like it. It's essentially retelling the story of Romeo and Juliet as if Juliet didn't die at the end. So she reclaims her life. And it's really fun how it's written because you have Shakespeare, who's getting ready to reveal his play to the world for the first time, and his wife, Anne, is like, no, that play sucks. We need to rewrite it. And so, like, there's this bickering back and forth as she's trying to retell Juliet's story, and then he's trying to, like, well, that's kind of boring. We need to add stuff to it. And what's so great about this is not only is it very positive and empowering and, you know, feminist, but there's also a queer love story between her best friend, who's non-binary, and one of the boys that Shakespeare tries to set Juliet up with. And so it's just this fun back and forth going. It's almost this sweet love story of Shakespeare and Anne falling back in love. But then it's all set to the backdrop of pop music from the 90s and early 2000s. So like what everybody remembers and knows, whether you like that music or not, it's familiar music. So Backstreet Boys, Britney Spears, Pink, Christy, I can't even think of Ariana Grande, and Kelly Clarkson. That's the one that I was trying to think of. And just like everything in between. It's just really fun. And the best way to describe it is it was just pure joy. And it was exactly what I needed. And I wanted to do this video. Sorry, my little baby cat does, the other cats do not get along with the new one that we rescued this winter. So I'm like his hero. So sorry about that. But anyway, this video that I'm going to do now, I started YouTube to do this video, actually. It was just a discussion that I wanted to have, something that I was excited about, that I wanted to talk about. He's going to be crawling all over me, so this is going to be interesting video. We call him Midnight. Anyway, I want to talk about our obsession or fascination with retellings. Why Shakespeare and the Odyssey and all the things that we're familiar with keep coming up. Why we still like to hear about Robin Hood or King Arthur or all these different things. And also, you know, kind of give some recommendations, but I also separated it between there's retellings, you know, modern retellings. There's retellings where they want to essentially fix things that were problematic in the originals, or else just make them more inclusive. So there's a lot of them that are people of color, queer, you know, almost role reversals with having a feminist point of view instead, but also companion books where whether it's the world that you want to continue on, or by adding to that world, whether it's a prequel or a sequel written years later that just kind of further delves into that world, maybe enhances it in a way and just makes it better. So I just want to talk about some of the different books, and by no sense is this a comprehensive thing. It's mostly just books that I've read and enjoyed that all fit within this, or books that are on my TBR that I've been wanting to read and just haven't gotten to yet. So maybe you'll find some that you're interested in. And then also just kind of end with a bit of a discussion before. So some of the companions that enhance the original. I just recently read Haversham, and Haversham is the retelling of Miss Haversham, kind of getting her perspective of how she becomes the one that we see in Great Expectations. And also, there's Wide Sargasso Sea, which is the prequel to Jane Eyre, where you get the Bertha side of the story about the wife in the attic, with all the racism and colonialism and everything that goes into that. To explore Gone with the Wind, they did the sequel Scarlet, but they also did a Rhett's People, and then I forgot to write the title, but they did one from Mammy's point of view, which is on my list to read, and I'm really, I still have to find how to get it. And then Julia is a great companion. It's kind of a retelling of 1984, but then it extends it a little bit. So you get this, her point of view on everything that went down. Another one is March for Little Women. And that is the, so Little Women takes place, but it begins with their dad off to war. And it's the dad's perspective and point of view. And then Piranesi continues on in the world of the Chronicles of Narnia. And then you also have like James that enhances the story for Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. And then modern retellings, Demon Copperhead for David Copperfield, and The Vanishing Half for the story Passing. Both of those are excellent. As a kind of new look at the story of Lolita, it's not actually about Lolita, but it gives a perspective of the young girl who's being basically groomed and then abused by her teacher, is My Dark Vanessa. And then these next two I haven't read, but they have been on my list. So Edith Wharton was anti-Semitic, and she has some, I love her writing, The House of Mirth and Age of Innocence. They have written some books that basically are either retellings, which Innocence is a retelling of Age of Innocence, but from a Jewish perspective. And then Rosendale in Love is his point of view from the House of Mirth, to reclaim the Jewish story, because his character was basically laughable and disliked so much, so they reclaimed that story. So I do want to read both of those. Travelers Along the Way is a gender switched retelling of Robin Hood, but from the Arab perspective. I just read that recently and really enjoyed it. The Unlikely Pursuit of Mary Bennett was a queer sequel of sorts to Pride and Prejudice. But then you also have continuous inclusion. So those are some of the kind of flipped ones. But then you have more that are for inclusion. So the cast is much more diverse for these retellings. So there's for Frankenstein, and I haven't read either of these, but these are both high on my TBR. Monstrilio is a Mexican author retelling, and then there's Frankenstein in Baghdad. And I'm really excited about that one because it's essentially uses the idea of Frankenstein, but to tell a broader story. So with the war in Iraq going on, there's this guy who would collect all these body parts and basically put them together to try to have a body to bury to show the atrocities of war, but also to acknowledge that, you know, these people who died so brutally deserve to have a resting place and be honored just like any other of the dead. And then that creation becomes a monster, and it's about how the atrocities of war just create continuous atrocities. So I really want to read that one, but I need to wait until I'm in the mind frame to do that. But that has been on my list for a while. Another one for Little Women is a Black retelling of newly freed women called So Many Beginnings. I had started that one and I have not had a chance to finish that one yet. For The Great Gatsby, there's Self-Made Boys, which is a trans retelling, but also The Great Man, Man with Two Ends. And this is about Black Hollywood during the jazz age of Great Gatsby and stuff. So I'm really excited to eventually read that one as well. For the Odyssey, you have Circe and all the new retakes on a lot of the classical myths, so Circe included. But I have not read Cold Mountain yet. I did watch the movie ages ago, but I'll have to revisit that. And then there's also the movie that was very popular, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? For the Iliad, that actually has quite a few retellings. The Song of Achilles, and that's a queer retelling. Wrath Goddess Sing is a trans retelling. And then you have The Silence of the Girls and Thousand Ships. And then you also have so many books that are inspired by or adaptations, retellings, or even references to the Bible, which would be like East of Eden, Song of Solomon, The Red Tent, The Secret Chord, Ben-Hur, The Book of Longing, which I have been wanting to read, and also country music star Johnny Cash even wrote a book called The Man in White about the Apostle Paul. My cat is like biting me and it hurts. And so there's just so much that you can get when you just even reference a story, because a lot of people already know going in kind of what to expect of it. And I think that's what's fun about some of these next ones, which are references to Shakespeare. So like title wise, The Winter of Our Discontent, The Sound and the Fury, The Moon is Down. They're, famous quotes. And so you kind of know going in, like, if you're familiar with what play it's referencing or what scene or what theme it's referencing, it makes it adds that extra layer of importance to the story, and maybe gives you a bit of a context for what they're about to say. But sticking with Shakespeare, then there's a lot of Shakespeare retellings in addition to Anne Juliet. There's 1,000 Acres, which is King Lear. You have, I just last year I read the 12th grade night, which was a graphic novel for the 12th night, Last Dead Poets of the Sea. And that one was the 12th night as well. And then I haven't read, but I want to, if we were villains, These Violent Delights, which These Violent Delights is Romeo and Juliet retelling along, and so is, you know, the play, The West Side Story. But also there was a movie and there's a book series, Warm Bodies, about zombies. My cats are at it again. And then Miranda and Milan, as well as a cute graphic novel, a queer novel, Star-Crossed. So there's just so much. And then you have wacky, not even retellings, just like story adjacent, where like Pride and Prejudice and zombies, which is actually a lot better than it sounds. There was Bride and Prejudice, which is a movie, but it's a Bollywood musical movie. Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead. And then a queer romance that just has the title Pride and Prejudice in Pittsburgh. It's not even about that. It's just set in the Pride and Prejudice era, but in the United States. And so all that, and then you also still have The Lion King, which is Hamlet. And so why do we love to revisit these classic stories? Why don't they get old? Why are they eternal and universal? What is it that we feel like we need to either just continue the story or fix the story with these retellings that are more inclusive and stuff? If it's an already universal story, and then you're making it even more inclusive, like, I just love that idea that something that can touch so many people and is held up on a pedestal can still be criticized and examined and seen for the ways in which it could improve or could be better. And not to say that all of these improve upon the original, but it's because of the original that we're able to enjoy these retellings. And it just has this almost nostalgic feeling, even though they're brand new stories to us again, because they're telling them in such a different way. Another great queer retelling of Pride and Prejudice that I really liked was a modern one, and that was Most Ardently. And it's just, there's something comforting when you're reading a story that you already know what's going to happen, you're already familiar with it, but you want to explore the ways that it's different, the ways that it shows you what was wrong, like what was glaringly wrong with Pride and Prejudice, with Kitty having to marry this guy who essentially was a predator just to save face. Like, having so many of the adaptations like fix that part and change that part or address that part, and just the anti-Semitism in Edith Wharton's work, the racism and stuff like Gone with the Wind, and trying to address these things and acknowledge that, like, hey, I do love this stuff, but there is something wrong with it. And rather than this era where we're, you know, banning books or canceling authors or something, like, I just like the idea of fixing it instead. Like, yeah, they you know, they were wrong in what they were saying or writing here, or they missed this whole plot of the story, or they didn't get this character, and so let's do it. And that's what fan fiction has always been. You want to stay in this world that you love, but you want to make a more recognizable world to you, to fit your experiences and reflect yourself. And I think that that's why we continue to bring them about. Or we want to tell a story in a way that it is even more universal. You know, you tell Hamlet, but you use, you know, lions to do it. So it's universal to kids, and they don't have to know the whole origin of it, but they can still follow this famous and fabulous story that they would not have even gotten to for years later. And so I want to, ask you, like, are you a fan of retellings? What have been some of your favorite retellings? Why do you think we keep doing it? Why do you think we want to expand on these worlds? Do you think that it's oversaturated? Or do you think that there's classics that we're missing that need to be retold in a new light, in a more inclusive way? What have been some of your favorites, whether they're the classics that keep getting retold or some of the retellings? But what do you think in them makes it so universal or eternal? What is it? Is it the what themes are they that we just want to keep revisiting? And then also, I wanted to just talk about how, like, we're always complaining that everything is the same now, and there's no new original stories out there anymore. And that is a complaint. Like, everything just always feels the same. So why are we complaining about some things where, like, oh, I've already read this before, it's just like the other 10 books that I've recently read? Why are we not okay with that, but we're okay with the 12th variation of Pride and Prejudice, or the 10th retelling of the Odyssey? Like, what makes it okay for some to just continuously just rehash the same kind of stories that makes it still enjoyable, and what makes it so bad that we have to take to YouTube and complain about the lack of originality in books? And I'm all for reading, translated fiction, reading inclusive fiction. And so I do want that. I do want the originality. But I also do gravitate a lot of times to this nostalgia feeling of rereading a beloved book for the first time. So we always have these YouTube videos where we say, the 5 books that I wish I could reread for the first time. I wish, you could swipe my memory and I could, not know what's going to happen and just reread it. And we can't do that. But we're always playing this game of, like, what books would we want to revisit because they are just so impactful, and we just want to have that experience again, that feeling again, that twist again, and not see coming. And retellings are almost our way of doing that, I think, just because, yeah, you know what's coming, and yet in so many ways you don't, because it is a retelling. So what are they going to switch about the original? Are they going to fix the same problems that you thought you saw in it? Or are they going to give you a completely new perspective that you didn't even consider before? And so it is almost wiping the slate clean and telling you the story that the author of the new one is thinking that you should have had all along, in a way that still feels new and exciting, and yet comfortable, and just, like, embraced by, like, the warmth of the original, the warm hug that you get when you're reading your favorite book. And so I just like thinking about all that stuff, and how we almost have this double standard of, okay, you can rewrite this stuff, but don't keep trying to tell me this kind of story. I don't want to hear it anymore. And that is very decisive for that. And I find it very interesting. Like, does it have to be considered a classic in order for us to continuously rehash it? Because a lot of the stuff that we're seeing repeated are still the same kind of themes that we've always read. So what makes one long-lasting and more interesting, and something that we're willing to give a chance, versus other ones that we're just thinking are oversaturating the market. And I get that a lot of the times it's oversaturation in the fact that it's all the same kind of writers that are continuously publishing, and we do want to have a bigger variety of what we have access to. But everybody does have different tastes and stuff. So I'm always an advocate for, like, as long as you're reading, I'm just glad that you're reading. I don't, it doesn't matter what you're reading. It doesn't affect me. But we do need to be aware of the fact that what we're purchasing, what we're consuming, is what's going to add to the market. If it's marketable, they will continue to make it. And so that, what's marketable are things that we're already familiar with, whether it's whether it's the stuff that you're not reading or not, but whether it's romance or romantasy or rehashed sci-fi or fiction by the same writers over and over, whose story don't seem to change, that just characters are all interchangeable, but they're still selling. And retellings and companion pieces and all this stuff are also selling. So what we use and consume does affect the market. And so what is it that we want to see? And with these retellings, since so many of them are featuring diverse authors, perhaps what we're hoping to see more of is the market allowing those voices to enter the chat in a way that they can tell their stories and not have to associate it with an already beloved work, so that they can just tell the stories that they want to tell. And so for a lot of the time, it's they need to find an audience so that you'll follow their other stuff, their original thoughts and stuff. And maybe this is the way to do that. Like, I loved their writing in this, let me follow them into something else where you're going to like this retelling, and you don't know if you want to take a chance on a new to you person that is going to be a story that's completely different from anything that you read before, because you're already taking one chance, and it's hard to know if you want to go further and take an even bigger leap of faith. So I guess the discussion is not just like what draws us to books, but if our complaint is about what books we have access to and what books are being published, it is also going to be our responsibility to push for those, to read those, to consume those things, so that they have a market as well. And I guess I'm just trying to do my little piece of doing that. But I do want to just have a discussion and your thoughts on this, on any of the stuff that I've written, or any of the suggestions. If you have any books that I missed that should have been included, whether it's a classic that needs to be further explored, or your favorite retelling of the classics. Either way, I'm always all for the book recs. But this is just something that I had been thinking about since I started the channel, and I wanted to have this discussion. I wanted to talk about these books. I wanted to, explore the themes and why we're drawn to them, and just get your thoughts on it. And I finally did the video. So I hope that you liked it. I hope that I did it justice. I know that I read a whole bunch of books. So if you do have any questions on them or the content, just ask. I'll give you my thoughts on them. For the ones that I haven't read yet, I'll obviously be reviewing them when I do read them. But I can also give you a few of the ones that I love the most, that I would recommend really quickly. So I did really enjoy Haversham and Demon Copperhead and The Vanishing Half. My Dark Vanessa. It's hard to say that you like that book because it's so devastating and hard to read. James was a decent adaptation. I did have some issues with the way that they made the connection between Huck and James. But overall, I really enjoyed having the point of view from Jim's point of view. And then I did enjoy Travelers Along the Way. I always enjoy Robin Hood retellings, but having the Crusades and the Middle Eastern influence and the Islamic perspective, as well as it being very inclusive of the different branches of Islam, but also there was a queer, a sapphic love story in there as well. So I really enjoyed that one. And then Circe was great. Song of Achilles was good. The Wrath Goddess Sing was good. East of Eden is one of my all-time favorites. I enjoyed Ben-Hur a lot more than I expected I would. It almost, I mean, it is a biblical retelling, but it felt very like the Odyssey to me. Like he just was trying to get back to where he belonged, get back to his family, his home. So it felt very much like the Odyssey as well, which fits in with this story. And those are the ones that I would for sure reference. If you have a chance, Pride and Prejudice and Zombies is actually really fun. And if you get a chance to watch the movie, Bride and Prejudice was also a good time. And then those are the ones that I'm familiar with the most. Some of them I referenced that I, thought were okay, but a lot of them I just also really want to read, and they have been on my TBR, and this is my way of holding myself accountable so that I can give a proper and better review for them. I forgot to mention the ones that were referenced by Shakespeare, and so I really did love The Moon is Down. That one was so much better than I expected. And then once you get past the first chapter of The Sound and Fury, it's also a really interesting story. It's just the first chapter is told by Benji, and it's a very disjointed point of view where you don't quite know what's going on. It makes sense in the larger retelling of the story, but if you're just diving in for the first time, it's a really rough start, but it is worth reading. Anyway, those are my thoughts, and I'm hoping to open this to discussion, and I hope that you have a great day, and just, be kind to each other, and happy reading.